Oh man, that looks so delicious. Oh man, this is so good.
White shoes, check out the white shoes, check out the white
Dad,
shoes.
what's for dinner?
White shoes, check out the white shoes, check out the white shoes.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Dad What's for Dinner. Today we are making some Indian fried bread or Navajo fried bread. I'm sorry, and I'm using some steak to make some Navajo tacos. It's going to be kind of like a carne asada, but kind of a faux carne asada. Man, this recipe is so delicious. Check the description for the full recipe and the full list of ingredients. But here we're just chopping up some steak. I'm just using some stew meat here. You can use any cut of steak you like or any cut of beef. You can also use chicken or pork. This recipe is interchangeable. Do it however you want to do it, guys. But yeah, I'm just chopping up the steak there into little small pieces. I know my knife skills aren't the greatest, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm getting them just little small bite-sized pieces there, just enough because the kids are eating, so enough that they can just eat without having to chew too much there. So yeah, getting cut up. Gonna throw it in a Ziploc bag. And then after we put it in a Ziploc bag, we're actually gonna get our marinade ingredients ready, and basically get the steak marinated. And we're only gonna marinate it for a couple, like an hour or so, 2 hours. Doesn't need to be too long. There we go. We got it in a Ziploc bag there for you. And we're just adding a teaspoon of cumin or camino powder, wherever you're from. We're doing a teaspoon of black pepper. And we're adding our kosher salt. That's about a teaspoon of kosher salt. You can use regular table salt as well. We're just going to add that to the bag. And we got a teaspoon of, actually about 2 teaspoons of garlic, minced garlic. And we're just gonna dump that into the bag as well. Give it a little garlic flavor. Gotta love some garlic, right? And I'm chopping up a Serrano chili pepper. That's all I had. You can usually do it in jalapeno. I'm just chopping it up. These are pretty hot, so I'm not putting too much in there. Just enough to get a little heat in there. And about the juice of about one large or one nice size lime there. You can use the little lime squeezies, the little squeeze juice. And we're just gonna seal it up and make sure after you seal it up tightly there so nothing comes out, we're just going to mix it all together, get all ingredients and stuff mixed together. And as I'm cooking this, I'm gonna be adding a little more seasoning to it. I like to add a little more fresh as I go along there. Yep, we're gonna get it all mixed up and we're gonna get it flattened out, and that's gonna go into the fridge for a couple hours. And while that's marinating, we can go ahead and start our bread. So I'm gonna do, I believe I did 4 cups of flour here. You can do half. I'm cooking for 5 people, so I do a lot. So 4 cups of flour, 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Next, we're going to be doing 3 teaspoons of baking powder. And we're just gonna drop it in there like so. And we're gonna take a whisk and whisk all those ingredients together nicely. You want them mixed well for a good even bread. And we're just gonna whisk and whisk and whisk. All right, next we want to get 1.5 cups of hot water. My measuring cups just goes up to a cup, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start a cup, and then we'll pour that into the flour, begin making our dough. Then I'll come back and grab another half. And you're just gonna slowly pour that in and mix that flour. You're gonna create your dough. And don't worry, it doesn't look like you have enough water, but we have enough water. It'll all come together. And again, just keep mixing, keep mixing. You want to make sure all that flour touches that water. And we're going to go back for our 1/2 cup of water. And again, you can throw that in the microwave to heat up. And we're going to pour and just going to keep mixing, keep mixing. You want to create a pretty good size ball of dough there. Yep, it's looking good. It's looking good. If you haven't had Indian fried bread, this stuff is amazing. And just keep mixing there. You want to make sure to get around the sides to get all that dough, to get all that flour to mix it into the dough, because that's all going to turn into some precious, delicious fried bread. and we're just mixing. So at this point, it's going to be pretty sticky. I do recommend using like a wooden spoon for this. It just kind of helps with that stickiness. It helps to kind of mix it. And then also use a glass bowl, or I'm using a stainless steel bowl here. Um, but but yeah, you can also use your hands as well. I've seen people use their hands, but this dough does get pretty sticky and it'll be all over your hands. So just something to be mindful of. Next, we're going to put that dough aside for about 1 to 2 hours. And while that's dough set aside, we're going to go ahead and get our skillet ready. We can start cooking our steak. I'm just throwing in some vegetable oil. You can use canola, corn oil, I mean, whatever you like. But we're just going to throw in our steak. Let that cook down nicely. Get all the good juices out of there, all that lime juice. All right, and then we're just going to spread that out so it cooks evenly and just give it time to cook. It's gonna this cut of steak has a lot of fat in it, a lot of and all the lemon juice, so there's a lot of liquid in there. So I like to let it kind of cook out a little bit, but you'll see here a lot of juice kind of comes out of it. I'm adding in a little bit of oregano here, so about a teaspoon of oregano. I'm just sprinkling on there, just for a little more flavor. And I'm gonna add some salt, and I'm also going to add just a little bit of cumin to that, just to kind of bring out the flavor a little bit more. And again, you can salt and season this to taste. Either way, it's going to taste delicious when we're adding it to our fry bread. And as you see, I kind of cooked out some of the juices. So let's go ahead and start cooking our fry bread. So we're going to need some flour. I'm putting flour on a plate here, just so when I make these golf ball sized balls of dough, they don't stick to the plate. And that's what you're looking for, about that size. Like I said, about the size of a golf ball. So when we roll these out, we're gonna roll them out pretty flat, so it kind of fits in the skillet, and you have a nice sized piece of bread. You're just kind of rolling them into a general circle shape. There we go. We're patting them out. Make sure you get them covered in some flour so they don't all stick together. And I do recommend just making all the separate little balls first before you begin rolling them out and start frying them. Just makes it a little bit easier. All right, we got our area to roll out the dough. So I'm putting some flour down just so it doesn't stick. So I'm just dumping a little flour in there. I made a lot of bread, so I'm going to be going through a lot. So put a lot of flour down, spreading it all out with my hands there. And I'm putting a little flour on my rolling pin as well, because that dough will stick to your rolling pin. All right, so we're just gonna start rolling out those balls of dough. Try to get to as close as to a circle shape as you'd like. It's kind of hard though. I mean, I'm not a professional roller, so I'm not the best at this. Either way, it's gonna be delicious, so don't stress it too much. All right, it's looking good, looking good. All right, and that's the finished product there. So let's go ahead and put that on a separate plate. If you use plenty of flour, you can actually roll out a ton of these and just stack them up. Make sure you're using flour so it doesn't stick. We're going to set our oil to about a medium-high heat. And we're going to add our vegetable oil. You want to get it enough to where you can cover the bread. They're pretty thin, so you actually don't need that much oil here, but you do want to deep fry it. All right, check your oil, make sure it's nice and hot at around 350 degrees. We're at 350, let's go. Let's go ahead and drop in our first piece of fried bread there. These don't take that long to cook, so they cook very quickly, guys. So you make sure you're watching them. You're only going to cook them for less than a minute on each side before you flip it over. And you see it start to bubble up there. That's what you're looking for. That's that airy, really soft bread. Yep, it's looking really good. Let's go ahead and flip that bad boy over. There we go. It's looking delicious. And again, it's really soft, really delicious bread. And again, we're only going to cook it for a couple seconds on each side. So you know what? Let's go ahead and flip this guy over one more time. Make sure we got a nice little golden brown on each side there. So that side is looking really good. Again, cook things to how you guys like them. I like mine with a little bit of golden brownness. And you know what? Let's go ahead and get ready to pull this guy out of the oil here. There we go. Look at that. That looks amazing. There we go. Let's get a close up of that guy. So that's the finished product there. That bread looks absolutely delicious. You know what? Let's go ahead and start making some tacos. So that some of that cooked steak, we're just gonna throw it in like you would any other taco. There we go. I'm adding a lot of beef to mine. And I'm just gonna add a little shredded lettuce to mine. You can add whatever you like. I'm gonna add some salsa. This is some salsa my mom made. She's been growing her own vegetables, her own chilies and stuff, and she's been making fresh salsa. So it's been really amazing. You can add some sour cream, add some cheese, and that's the finished product there. It looks delicious. I'm lactose intolerant, so I don't do cheese and sour cream, but make it your way, guys. Super delicious, super easy. Like and subscribe for more.